So as I said in my previous lecture, what we will be trying to do throughout this course, we will be learning a lot of tools and fundamentals, but also I will be always forcing you to use methods that will allow you to stay less technical but more creative. So everything that I will trying to offer you will be quite simple, to be honest. And you will see in a minute what I mean. So for example, what is the best way to put some like ideas together? And as I showed you in my previous lesson, it's just to start scribbling, you know? When you scribble, you start seeing things, you know? Like, what is this? You never know. But once you do some adjustments, your brain will immediately react to it. Like, for example, in the previous one, I showed you how to create like characters out of this abstraction. But now I will be showing you how actually your brain will completely react differently to a very simple manipulation. For example, if we take this abstract blob and just stretch it, and then because the brain, it knows what perspective is, it will start seeing different things, and your brain will react, oh, that's actually the plane. It is the plane because you see the spacing, and this is where you use your design elements. You see the spacing, and you see how these pixels, they're not really like just stretch pixels. They're vanishing towards vanishing point. They becoming smaller and smaller, and then your brain says, oh, that's actually the plane. And for example, let's duplicate this guy and create another plane. And your brain immediately says, okay, there is another plane. So you see, instead of constructing like a very strict, say, like precise perspective, like, okay, that's the perspective with the lines, and then starting painting, we're just using simple Photoshop tools to create that abstraction for us. We're not using a precise method because our brain knows how perspective looks like. And you just need to put something to get the scale right? For example, how big the surface is. Is it the scale of like an insect, or it is a big scale? And it's up to you. Like, for example, if you start putting, okay, there is a guy walking there. Let's say we've got our guy walking there. And now you can say that you can say how big this place is, and it's actually pretty big, right? And then you put some other indicators, like just to reinforce how, like, where is the horizon? And you just put, like, for example, the horizon line over there. And for example, and then your question would be what the lighting looks like. And because this is so abstract, that's why it's very powerful. There's so many ways you can put your shading information. There is nothing specific. Like, for example, at some point I will be showing you photo bashing, and I will be explaining that photo bashing is great, but it's also very challenging because once you put the photo, like once you copy paste, you can easily take like a surface of the moon or whatever and copy and just place it over here. But the problem with that one, because everything is so clear, your brain reacts immediately. He knows what the scale is. Your brain knows what the lighting is. But with this one, it's so abstract, and that's why it makes it so powerful, because there's so many ways you can actually... There's no lighting information. It's all about you. It's up to you how to actually put your shading. Like, for example, you can start... Okay, maybe if this was a hill, then probably there would be a big shadow. And you know, and as a storyteller, like, I will be explaining you all the design. I explained you all the design elements that you will use to tell your stories. And for example, you want to create some kind of motion inside this frame. And I will cover these topics in my composition lesson next, which is the next one. But for example, I know I want to create some kind of zigzag motion inside this frame. So I will be using the shadow to do it. Like, let's say that that guy was dropping some shadow. Like, once again, let's put a big stroke. Okay. And now because this guy is so silhouetted, you can see this guy straight away. And then you basically can really quickly completely change is this light? You never know. You can make a dark kind of horizon like this. And because it's not like a precise light, it's more like a graphic design that you are dealing with. So that's why, once again, the simpler the better. And because there's no light, no like defined forms, it's so easy for me to change the ideas and stories. And just by having similar elements, just in a matter of minutes, you can create different compositions, different stories, depending on what your shadow is. The story could change completely. It could go from a daylight to nightlight. So, and it's all started by me just simply painting a simple blob like this, which is a very abstract thing. Let's try another, like, I use this brush, but let's just pick some random brush. For example, this guy. And do it again. It's the same result, but it's a different surface. It's a completely different surface. Like, let's just try another brush. How about this one? That's also a different surface. You can tell it's more like a stony surface, while this guy is a bit different with some horizontal lines. And actually, when you look around, there's so many abstract things around you. Like stone texture. You don't need to paint actually, like, really follow the stone texture in order to make it look like a stone. You just make those suggestions, because once again, we will be thinking about more global picture and about like big ideas, instead of spending our time refining a small stone in the left corner of your composition. That's why we will use abstraction to form those ideas, and then if we need to take it to another level, then we will start refining things and stuff like that. So now I will show you a really quick abstract method to create textures as well. So for example, let's pick up a simple airbrush, right? Like, let's put this like this. It doesn't make sense. What is this? Like, and it's very simple. Anybody can do this one. Once again, first thing we can do, we can distort this thing. And now you start seeing, okay, now there's something happening, almost like with the previous examples. Like, you can see the distortion and you can say, okay, this is something going and vanishing towards vanishing point. But there is a simple thing that you can do that will completely change the way your brain reacts to this one. And if you double click on layers, on your layer, and there is this filter called bevel and emboss. You know, when I used to be a graphic designer, I would punish my designers if they use this panel over here, you know, 90s style, drop shadows and stuff like that. But these days, I apologize. I think this is a very, very, very powerful menu if you know what you're doing. So yeah, basically, let's activate this bevel and emboss and just change the depth. Okay, now we create lighting. You can see it, and with this lighting you can control how your light hits the surface, and then you can change the size, and also like you can create so many different surfaces which already have lighting. It's not a real lighting, it's kind of fake, but it's perfect for what we need. For example, let's just copy this guy and distort it. Okay, now you can see forms. It could be like a sand texture or something like that. Let's make it a little bit more complicated though. Let's change it, for example, smooth, creates like smooth areas. Sometimes it's good to have smooth, but let's try chisel soft. Okay. Now this is something what we want. It's more textural. I can still tweak my lighting. Let's try this one. Looks very cool because it gives you this really nice texture, but plus it suggests a little bit what your lighting is. So the light is coming from somewhere there. So let me just, and because this is a very pixel sensitive effect, I probably will need to resize our canvas. And just try it again. So we actually, and because you already have the effect on, all you need is to just paint. Okay, let's just play with it a little bit more. That's really cool. It's almost like I'm painting sand or something like this. Okay, and now let's copy this and distort and see how it looks like. Perfect. And all these small guys is like, actually this is not a shadow, but it looks like a heel, right? What's the scale of this object? I don't know. It could be really small, or you never know. You need to put some kind of scale, so something to indicate the scale. Like for example, let's say we can put a rover over here, right? And then put a shadow. And then it's up to you. You can resize it to make, and then you will, your brain will think, oh my god, it's a huge dune, you know, instead of being a small. Or you put something different, and this becomes as a ground. Like you can start putting rocks. Like let's say there was a rock over here. Dropping the shadow. Boom. And now it's almost like you're looking down at the ground. It could be like sandy surface. And it's very quick. It's very abstract, but very powerful. So let me do a couple of more examples. Like, let's get a bit more complicated. Let's just select like a more textural brush, I suppose. Look at this. It's almost like a rocky texture. Almost like a Mars surface. Like if I copy this guy and stretch it. Great. And all of these small guys, it's almost looks like the surface you would get next to the beaches. It's almost like feels like a water or something. So for example, let's say you just paint a crab over here. And now your brain will tell you that, oh, okay, that's actually very straightforward. But look how many nice details it gives. It gives you, and your brain just reads them very, very easily. And still, it's an open-ended exercise, because someone will see something different. Different people will react differently to it. Okay, let's just close this one. And having this on Bevel and Emboss is very cool, because you can tweak your lighting. Like, okay, now the light comes from left hand side, or the light it's like a front lit texture, or the light is just coming straight from up. This could be like a diffused overcast scenario. Let's do it like this. Cool. Don't say it. Let's just move on and try something else. Delete this one. Pick up something. Okay, that's probably not. Okay, it's a good one actually. Let's just change the color of it. That's actually a very nice one, because all you need to put, you just draw a character over here. And now you know what this looks like. You know it's a very long lens because the way the lines look, and you start to have a really nice story. This is a guy This is an astronaut. Walking on a lonely planet. And then you have something out there. Or maybe here. Okay. Pretty simple. And also, you can see it's very graphical as well. That's that what makes it very, very powerful, because you don't know what this texture exactly is, but you like the graphic look of it. And if you like the graphic look of it, you can then take this to another level very easily, because as a graphic design, it's a powerful composition. Oh, still not liking the way his head looks like. Okay, now it's better. Let's do another one. And by the way, you will be having a file with all the textures and experiments that I created, so excuse me, you can just jump in and use any of those as you want. You know, it's not like I want you to create a new ones. You definitely need to experiment with those, but there will be a lot of pre-made stuff for you, so you guys can pick those up and just start doing cool stuff. I don't know, let's create something unusual. Oh, look at this. So cool. It's almost like a very rocky texture, isn't it? And then you do the same trick. And it almost look like mountains, you know? It's very different. I would encourage you to just whatever brush that you have, literally pick every one of those and start like creating different things, because every brush does something different. Like for example, this guy. Oh, what is this? It's awesome because it's a bark texture. Like let's say you copy this one and let's just quickly create a simple composition. Hold on. It's a bark texture, but let's change the lighting. That's a good one. Copy it, go over here, create a simple composition, create a nice graphic design. Copy paste it. And then what we have. We actually have some trees, right? And then you change the scale of them. Some of the trees, they become closer to camera. Some of them will be further away. Cool. And then you create your own story. You just make maybe a hunter, you know, walking in the woods. Very simple. It's very suggestive, but it just has everything you need. Did we use any photos? No. Did we use any difficult, like really complicated tools? No. It's just painting with a simple lame bevel emboss effect. But using that one, you can create so many stories, story bits, so many quickly. Like imagine if you were doing this, the story of this hunter, and then you just adjust your light a little bit. It is very graphical, but like in my composition lesson, which will be the next one, I will be showing you a lot of simple tools and tips how actually, and emphasizing how graphic design is important, because all you read in the very first second is a graphic design, and then your eyes will go and start picking up different details, you know, but first will always be graphic design. And if you're a good graphic designer, you can do anything. So let's put like a head on top of him. Or maybe not. Let's just make him a mysterious character. Okay. This one is done as well. As I said, you will have a file with a lot of these textural experiments. Feel free to pick any of those. It's very, very simple. There's nothing else I can tell you about this. You create a layer with bevel and emboss, adjust your resolution, and move your lighting angle. Whatever your angle is, you will get different textures. And increasing, decreasing the depth, you can also get some different ideas. And also try these options as well, like sometimes chisel hard gives you a really nice texture. Smooth sometimes is a good option. I mainly use chisel soft, and also experiment with these guys like outer bevel emboss will give you different one. Pillow emboss will be doing something else. So feel free to experiment. But once you get a good texture, you will start distorting it, and really, really quickly your brain will use this abstract way of thinking to create different pictures on your mind, and this is where the fun starts. So yeah, let's jump on to the next one.